But the John Marco Allegro book, he was an ordained minister, but he was one of the people that was assigned to translate the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he did it over the course of, I think it was about 14 years. And he wrote this book because it was his belief, and he was a very straight-laced scholar. He wasn't a psychedelic enthusiast, but he believed that the entire Christian religion was based on the consumption of psychedelic mushrooms and fertility rituals. And he thinks that a lot of these stories, that their origins come from that. And
really?
Yeah, and he believed that a lot of it was the Amanita muscaria mushroom, which is a very confusing mushroom because a lot of people have a hard time tripping on it. Terence McKenna believed that the problem was that the psychedelic compounds in it varied regionally and genetically, and that they weren't all the same. It really depended upon where you get them from and how you got them and how you treated it, and a lot of that information was lost. And also, like, there's certain religious ceremonies that involved very mysterious things like soma. Soma from the ancient Hindu texts, they don't know what was in there. They don't know what it was, but it seems like it was some sort of a psychedelic compound, whether it was blue lotus and psilocybin or a combination of many things. Like the Eleusinian mysteries, where, in ancient Greece, they believed that was that ergot was mixed in with the wine, which is a very similar experience to LSD. There's a great book on that, too, if you've never read it. It's called The Immortality Key by a scholar named Brian Murarescu, who's a brilliant guy who's been on the podcast a couple times. But he's done a lot of, like, really legitimate work on proving that these vessels, these wine containers that they had from these ancient times, they found trace elements of ergot in these wine vessels. And they know that wine back then was not just fermented grapes. They would add a bunch of things to the wine. And so
party pleasers.
Yeah. So these experiences that people would have, they would go to Eleusis, and I went there when I was in Greece a couple of years ago, and it's an amazing place, man. When you're there, like, it feels weird. When you go to the place where they had these psychedelic rituals, like, the place has a bizarre memory that you feel when you're there. Like, because you can literally walk on the grounds where they had these rituals, and you're there and you're like, whoa, like, this place feels wild. It just, like, my kids rather were like, what's wrong? Like, I'm fine. I'm just like, I'm weirded out by this place. Like, I feel it. I feel like a bizarre connection with this place. Like, it feels alive. Like, it's humming or something. It was very weird. Very weird. Like, I was touching the rocks and just trying to, like, feel, like, what's going on here. It's like you got thousands of years ago, these people were just tripping balls and inventing democracy right here at this very spot. It's literally the roots of democracy.
They had to be tripping to think of something so bold as democracy.
Yeah. I mean, it is literally what we were talking about. Like, if you want something that accentuates compassion, is this sense of family and brotherhood and sisterhood, that we're all together in this thing, what better than psychedelic drugs?
Yeah.
And that's why they're illegal.
Exactly.
It gets in the way. It gets in the way of this us versus them narrative that is so prevalent in our goofy society that's detached from these sacred compounds.